Morning, everybody. Here we are in northern Wisconsin on another exceptionally serene morning, except for these laying hens squawking over here. I thought this was interesting today. Usually these three groups of animals are not in the same place at the same time, but it just happened today that they are. So we've got our steers doing their soil engineering thing. Right behind you, where all the racket is the laying hens in their movable, completely containable chicken house. And then over here we have the first batch of meat chickens to come through. I just got done moving everybody and feeding everybody. So here's these guys just chillaxing around their feeder. And here's the boys coming in. You can see how easy it is to move all this stuff around. And I can't emphasize that enough. It took us several years to ponder whether we should move them every day or whether, like a week at a time was good. But we move these guys now twice a day. And all we do to manage it, is polywire in a bucket. We learned this from doing construction, when you don't want to wind up a hose because it'll just get tangled. You want to stuff it in a bucket. And it's the same with polywire. If you just feed it into a bucket, it doesn't stay tangled. And then you just can bring it out, tie a little knot here and there, and then you've got all kinds of fence going on for basically next to nothing. So this is a great way to get started if you have any doubts whatsoever. We had to do a tricky thing here today because the steers have been in a different place, and this afternoon they're going to catch up with these birds here. So we've enclosed the chicken pen with another wire so the steers don't beat it up too much when they get over here. Over behind us here, I want to show you something besides just these animals being as content as can be. Yeah, look at you. Are you content or what? Is we put swales in throughout this pasture here. The chickens now are kind of glad to be here. We've had a little problem with some hawks taking some birds. But now they're by the swale, the grass is high, so they've been hanging out in here. You can see there's a windbreak across there that they've been hanging out in, and we haven't had anyone else disappear from hawks. Here they are, kind of doing their chicken thing. And then I want to say a little thing about silvopasture, because that's what we're doing here. And right along this fence row here, you can see we've got some new oak trees planted. There's also hazelnuts in here, and that's like in however many years. I should have known this a long time ago. In a decade or two, there's going to be this place is going to look completely different, with hazelnuts coming up and providing us either a cash crop or feed for chickens or pigs. Here's another oak tree coming up. So we're going to be adding acorns to the mix. Another oak tree. We actually had a workshop on silvopasture out here last summer that was run by the University of Minnesota and the University of Wisconsin. It was a joint project because this was one of the best places they could find in the upper Midwest doing silvopasture. And one of the reasons they really liked it was because there's two ways to do silvopasture. One is to take a pasture, an open area, and plant trees into it in a strategic way. Or the other way, which is right across the driveway here, is to remove trees and to thin them and seed forage in underneath where you've done thinning. So I'm going to walk over here because I really do want you to see this. This area here, where you can see this grass being huge, you can see the effects of chicken fertility in here especially. So notice they're around their feeder, so there's an extra dose of manure going in there. And if you look at all of these clumps in here, you can see where the feeders have been. You can literally see where the feeders have been. And the chickens have gone back and forth in here for a couple of years. Now they're going back and forth in the paddock behind us. 2 years ago, almost at the same time, the grass in here was really only around a foot high, just like you see here. But now that we're grazing it off regularly, adding fertility from animals, the bigger grass back here is on the verge of being 3 to 4 feet high at the same time of year that it was just a foot high 2 years ago. So here's the last thing I want to show you. Silvopasture, right? The other way to do it is to clear an area of underbrush and thin the trees out, and then you plant forage in. Don't be afraid by the immensity of one of these projects. Bite it off a little bit at a time. You can see we've still got branches down here. We're getting a chipper shredder. We're going to get rid of this stuff. We're going to get some goats in here to keep the understory down when we remove it, and then it is going to sprout back. If you look across the road over here, I mean, you can see what the problem has become. Our forests are not in a natural state anymore because animals don't come through on a regular basis, grazing and browsing, and there's no more fires that just come sweeping through. And so it's all so thick and full of invasives that it's really not a forest anymore. It's just a mess. So silvopasture, that's what you want to do. It's like a miracle. And don't be intimidated. This is about a 3-acre area. We started clearing it 2 years ago. Last summer we had pigs in here and they were doing their thing, kind of nosing things out of the ground. And it's coming along. You don't have to have it all finished at the same time. Just bite off as much as you can, do it, and you're gonna create some just fantastic areas on your farm. Both ecologically, for the strength of the forest, and the forage and the animals. And there's just nothing better than it. You're going to get you're going to get free food for your animals. And remember, the most important animals on every farm are the animals that are 3 feet under our feet. And you can tell from looking at this grass here that there's some really happy microbes down there. So that's the report here this morning. Wish you were here. If you're doing this kind of work, move those animals around with polywire. Don't be afraid to do it. It's not that expensive. It's not that hard. It's totally worth it. Have a good day. Get in touch with us. Come out and see this. You need to. That's it. Bye.